Is it showing on the channel? Okay, there we go.
It just popped up. Yeah.
Alrighty, and then I have to edit this and put a title. Okay, I see.
Yes. Yes. I mean, you should already be automatically be in the category. Um,
Yeah,
yes. But it
it's
just
in the
says
politics
welcome to.
category.
Yeah, yeah. It just
Yeah.
says welcome to our show. That's the only thing.
It
And then
says ATF
I'm
Book
on
Club
I'm on
now.
TikTok now, huh? It says ATF Book Club now. Yes, yes, it
Okay.
does. Perfect. All right.
Well, do you want to pull up? Do you have a video of Schumer, Shirley,
It was
or I
just
guess
Aaron
I can.
Parnas.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
just Aaron.
sure.
Oh, well, let me do the intro. We got to do the intro. We got to stick to
All
it,
right. Go
because
for it.
otherwise it's not fun. All right. Welcome everybody. It's Thursday afternoon. We would not be ATF if we weren't late because of technical issues. This is
Sure. Sure.
classical
Sure.
for us. So uh, thank you for bearing with us
Yeah.
in
Thanks
that
for holding
manner.
out.
We yeah, we will try to get better as we go along. We've been saying that. It's not an excuse. It's a promise. But anyways, nice weather outside in Connecticut Thursday afternoon. How's South Carolina doing?
Also pretty nice. No
Okay.
need for a jacket or anything. I want to say we're in the 70s. Pretty nice
Oh, well,
day.
70s already. Well, we still need a little bit of jacket up here. But
Mm.
welcome to ATF Thursday afternoon. Joining us, um, Thank you for joining us. You are here joined by Nav and
Annette.
for your weekly updates. Yeah. So the big thing we were just mentioning before the introduction was the continuing resolution that the House passed, and Mike Johnson was absolutely giddy about it. I think we watched it what Tuesday. We watched it all go down.
Yeah. Yeah, we watched
Um,
his the victory speech, I guess you could call it.
yes, indeed a victory speech. So one Republican dissented, and one Democrat sided with the Republicans to pass it. Um, I believe Representative Massey was the Republican that didn't vote for it, and then a Democrat from Maine, correct?
Right.
He sided with the
Golden,
Republican. Golden
I want to
sided
say.
with, yeah, Golden. Yes, it was G something. I didn't know if it was Goodman, Golden, whatever.
Golden, I think.
So he sided with the Republicans to pass it.
Is in a
And
moderate area, or represents a moderate area, I
right.
should say. So I guess he thinks that allowing all of these cuts to go through is better than putting up a fight. So
Yeah,
get it together, Megan.
and maybe we should mention a little bit what this CR is supposed to be about. It's to keep the government open. Otherwise, the government will shut down on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
12 p.m. Um, Usually, and I'm sure Democrats are guilty as this. Usually, these things are bipartisan. Both sides typically get to negotiate what's what we want to continue funding.
Mm-hmm.
And a clean resolution is basically like, hey, what we've had going on will continue to go on. Correct? Am I wrong in that, or that's the best way to put it?
Well, they make agreements. I mean, it can be different than what's going on because it's to continue to fund the government past, the expiration date. So, but what you said about making, negotiations, like, yeah, that's absolutely correct. That's how it's worked. That's how it should work.
Right.
They're supposed to both come to the table and say, like, with the goal in mind of keeping the government open, of course,
Yes.
but it's just because Republicans have the majority doesn't mean that they get to make all of the rules for this shutdown or to avoid the shutdown for this continuing resolution. I mean, and then Democrats just have to vote for it.
Right.
Not how that works, but
But that's kind of how this one is
but
playing out.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, things aren't necessarily just going to continue on like business as usual for the rest of the year, because I believe the Republicans have put some changes into how things are going to get funded
Right.
into this bill. I mean, I can try to find something on more about the bill.
Sure.
I don't see any videos on YouTube yet specifically about Schumer saying that he's on board with the bill. I don't have anything that new really, so but Parnas usually breaks things like right away, so that makes
Right.
sense, you know.
And I think one of the bigger thing that was put into this bill is that it's taking power away from Congress as well to block any tariffs that the president is putting
Right.
through.
Right,
That's
because the
also
president is only supposed to be able to implement tariffs in the interest of national security. So that's why they kept saying all the stuff about like fentanyl. But I don't. Is that like going away? It seems like a pretty big law to, you know.
Yeah, but that's according to Chuck Schumer. That is indeed going away. That power is being taken away from Congress. That's not in this bill at all. And then also you mentioned, according to CNN, the Aliens Act, right? Alien Enemies Act is being, or Trump is considering activating that aliens. What's the number? 19 something, 1940
I don't
something.
know off the top of my head, but
It's what FDR used during World War II, and that's what we used to
for
do our
Japanese
own.
internment.
Yeah, we did our own little bit of a little bit of step into concentration camps. We did a little bit of that ourselves over
Yeah,
here.
so
It's what
that's
we used
not
to expel Italians and German citizens during World War. So they are considering activating that in terms of this crisis at
should
the
we watch
border.
this Fox Business what is
Yeah,
in the continuing
let's
resolution
hit
bill?
it, please hit it. Let's watch it.
Okay. Let's see,
You
see
have
what
to
they
watch
have
the
to
other
say.
side. You have to watch the other side. And
Well,
you know what? Listen. Fox News is infinitely more entertaining than MSNBC or whatever you want to call it. You know,
well, it's Fox Business, so I don't know.
they do tend to be okay sometimes.
Okay, you can
And
see it.
that's what I'll say. Yes, I can see it. Go ahead.
Somebody slap me and wake me the up because I'm ready to get on with it.
If you could speak directly to Elon Musk, what would you say?
They continue to say things like the illegals and that they broke the law coming in. But what they're not telling the American people is that it is a civil violation. It is not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally. It's not a criminal. It's a crime. It's not a crime.
It's a crime to enter the country illegally on Title 8, United States Code 1325, and it's really pathetic that any member of Congress don't understand what the law says.
Okay, the Democrats, you saw that, right? First, they think they can win the policy fight with the Trump and Republicans and win voters over by swearing and cursing. And then it was false claims about U.S. law. That was.
They kind of have a point there about the swearing and cursing, but I mean, to my knowledge, it is.
Yeah,
that like what the Democrats are saying about
is correct.
The law is correct. It's a civil
It's
violation.
a civil violation. Yes.
So I don't know if what exactly. I mean, you know, we're not lawyers, so we don't know what exactly that law that they're citing, what it says. If they're actually citing the civil, offense or what. But so I mean, I don't know about that. But I mean, I feel like common knowledge is just that it's a civil violation akin to jaywalking. It's not a crime. Not now.
Borders are Tom Homan reality checking Democrat Jasmine Crockett's false claim. Homan saying, yes, crossing the border illegally is a federal crime. Joining us now from House Judiciary, fellow Texas Congressman Chip Roy. Congressman, it's always wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us and taking the time. It's always great to see you again.
He looks like the guy that would be fighting for the Confederacy. Like he was.
That's a Civil War era face.
Is it not? Is it not? Like that's like you put the fucking thing on it. He is there. Like my boy was leading the charge. Gosh darn Democrat Union, get them. You know, like hey, that's the guy.
100%, yeah.
come she doesn't know federal law? Didn't she go to law school? So for Democrats,
Oh, they're just gonna hammer this in like, oh, that's not the law, that's not the law, that's not
Okay,
the law.
so,
that
all right.
somebody can just be like, oh, that's not the law, and then but it is. Oh, we're about to learn, I guess.
Oh,
maybe.
we're Title 8, United States Code 1325, improper entry by alien. Any alien who, 1, enters or attempts to enter the United States at any time or place other than as designated by by immigration officers, or 2, eludes examination or inspection by immigration officers.
that's committing a crime. It's not a
That's
crime.
not all of it, is it?
Well, she
It
no
can't
doubt
be.
actually knows the law. She just doesn't care about it, and she wants to parrot the talking points that it isn't a crime.
I mean, when
That's not the
you gonna
entire
show
thing.
Are you gonna show us the part where it says it's a crime? Because it's not.
This literally just says. It says nothing. It says nothing.
We'll have to look into this a little further. Remember,
We should just do
Title 8
it. Can
United
you just do it now? Can you just pull it up real quick? So Title 8, 1325.
Should I just open this?
Yeah. Just show it on screen if you can.
Oh, are you still seeing the YouTube page?
I'm still only seeing the YouTube page.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, I'll quicken my pace on sharing things at some point.
No, that's
I
fine.
swear.
That's fine.
Okay.
Hey! Part B, improper time or place. What does that say? What does that say? Literally in the first fucking line. Civil penalties.
It says it right there. Civil penalty. It's only a $50 offense. Get out of here! Come on.
It literally says on the second part. All right, but let's just.
Less than a parking ticket.
Can I just go, let's see what the part. Okay, so part A is the proper time or place, avoidance of examination or inspection, misrepresentation, and concealment of facts. So we read the part. Part 3, attempts to enter or obtain entry to the United States by willfully false or misleading representation or the willful concealment of a material fact. Shall for the first commission of any such offense be fined under Title 18 or imprisoned more than 6 months or both, and for subsequent commission of any such offense be fined under Title 18 or imprisoned not more than 2 years or both. Improper time and place.
I love this. I love this so much. We're just like
Civil
found misinformation. Just, like,
civil penalties.
Oh man, this is
Civil
what we have to do.
penalties.
We have to watch more Fox so that we
We
can
have
like,
to.
Google it in real time.
We have to.
You lied. You lied.
Any alien.
Baffled. Like, I don't know why, but I'm still so like, how dare you? How dare you talk to me like I'm stupid? Like, oh, I'm just gonna say, oh yeah, you know, Title 18, whatever, Title 8, whatever this is. Like, that's what they said on the news. That's what the lady with the hair said, so I believe it. I'm not gonna
Yeah, not just Tom Homan. This guy, a U.S. representative, goes on Fox Business, says, I don't know why she's doing this. You would think she knows the law. She's a U.S. rep.
Honestly.
No.
Okay, so
At least $50. This is the best part. At least $50 and not more than $250.
mhm.
Not more than $250.
That's it. That's
Oh my God.
I've gotten more expensive speeding tickets.
Yeah. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back to the interview. Oh my goodness, dude. This is just insane. This is just absolutely insane. Like, and then you know they eat that up. Like, you know you're gonna get into an argument with like a Trump supporter, a MAGA, or a Republican guy who go, you're fucking foaming at the mouth. 1325. Like,
Right.
did you read the fucking thing?
That's why I feel like we just have to like stop and Google like mid arguments these days. Cause,
We do.
Like,
We do.
they're just,
We
like,
have to.
You know, even if it just makes you look stupid in the end, if you can just like be like, well, that's not what Cornell law says. You know, like, Come on.
Do you know more than Cornell Law? Is that what you're telling me?
They teach the law.
Crime,
Probably
but it
one
is.
of the
We all know
best
it's a crime.
universities
And
and
the
law
reality
schools
is-
in the country.
Literally.
Oh, okay. Let's see if they go
Well-
for part 2. Let's see if they go for part 2. Can we just see if they go for part 2?
She wants to parrot the talking points that it isn't a crime, but it is. And we all know it's a crime. And the reality is, my Democratic colleagues, they're more interested. Remember when President Biden was in power? They were more interested in fighting to
Did we see this part?
Yes. I read that part.
keep the government open.
Well, to be
No.
fair, I mean, you can be in prison for, like,
Yeah.
parking tickets and shit. I mean,
Right,
civil, just because
you-
it's civil doesn't mean, yeah. So.
There's 2 courts in the United States. There's a criminal court and a civil court, and they both work on different sort of precedences and like how they
Right.
claim. Like if it's criminal, then you have to prove a crime has been committed, and you have to look at preponderance of evidence and stuff like that. But when it's a civil case, that's handled differently in the United States. It's a different matter altogether. There can if you can bring criminal penalties even separately than civil penalties, but those are 2 separate things. Crime is different. Civil penalties are different.
Absolutely, and I mean, we just saw it. It's a civil penalty, literally.
You can't be charged more than
We
250.
must have a CR so they can keep open borders, so they can keep endangering the American people. Now, we have a bill on the floor that would provide more money for ICE, help Tom Homan have the beds he needs to secure the border, and would keep funding going so that.
Did you see they brought the people back from Guantanamo?
Oh, did that happen? No, I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't really look into why, but I guess it just wasn't generally equipped. So I think they brought them back.
Hey, who would have known that?
Also
who-
to Louisiana. I mean, us, because we
Run
said
that facility,
they were
right?
all-
We
they
should
were
have
all
known that,
intense.
right?
They're intense. I mean, you can't keep people intense forever.
It's bullshit tactics. It's scare tactics. It's literally just that. It's like just to scare people from coming in. That's all it is. They
right.
can't.
It's another like put it out, walk it back, put it out, walk it back.
Yeah. Do you know how much it would cost them? Like how much it's costing them already to run those flights to all these other countries for deportation? It's costing billions of dollars.
Well, that's the thing. They're wasting so much money with all this like pomp and circumstance of. Are they still using military planes and stuff like that?
Yes.
So I mean, where's Doge when you need him?
Which costs even more.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's just like anything with the military is just like increasing the
Astronomically.
price for no reason.
It's like a 10x. Yeah.
Because I mean, using those planes that took all that research and all that training, extra training for the pilot and the people, anybody on it.
And it's different routes too.
Hmm.
They can't take civilian routes. They have to take military routes.
Yeah, I mean that's not surprising, but right? I mean, so that's a whole separate like people trained
Yeah.
for like that
Longer flights.
whatever
Much
they
longer
call
flights.
like air traffic control in the military, but
Yeah, and it's infinitely longer flights. The flight they did to India usually is about, if I take a commercial flight, it's 20-ish hours from JFK. A military plane takes about 45.
Oh wow,
So it's almost doubling it.
unbearable.
Yeah.
Do we want to finish this?
Yes. Oh, I love
Let
this.
him, let him
the light-
talk. Just I want to see if they're ever gonna actually get to the point of like what's in the bill. I feel like they're starting. Apparently, we're throwing a bunch of money at Tom Homan, which is what Lindsey Graham tried to do.
Right.
And I guess that's just on ice.
That's not what Daddy
in the
Trump
Senate,
wanted.
but
Daddy Trump didn't
no.
want that.
Big,
He wanted a
beautiful
big, beautiful bill.
Yeah, which I mean, I feel like we keep being confusing. These are two separate bills.
Yes.
The House, like the big beautiful bill, is for next fiscal year. This is for making sure that the government doesn't shut down and
Yes,
we can continue into
Two separate things.
October.
Two separate things. Yeah.
Yes.
This is a
okay.
continuing
Let's stay
resolution.
on
Yes, we're continuing.
for Elon and Doge to keep identifying all the nonsense. The reason my colleague from Texas was so angry is the same reason my colleagues are on the floor right now, my Democratic colleagues are angry, is because we're exposing the nonsense. $20 million, right, for Sesame Street in Iraq. It's nonsense for diversity. $2 million for LGBTQ activism and sex changes in Guatemala. $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. That's what we're dealing with. They're mad.
Well, no worries, because Rubio shut down, was it 83% of USAID?
Yeah. It's
Over,
it's
like
a
over
it's a shell.
5,000 of their programs or something.
Yeah,
keeping only 1,000, I think, up.
Yeah, it's a shell.
Yeah. I mean, NPR put out some like predictions that like I mean, obviously it's just gonna have like a huge impact on like people getting HIV meds, hunger, all that. And the biggest one I feel like for us, like if we just want to look at it selfishly, like we're not gonna be funding like Ebola treatment and like isolation as much. Like, is everybody forgetting 2012? 2013, how scary that was. We all thought we were about to get Ebola. Like we had like 1 or 2 cases and we were freaking the fuck out.
You know, I was thinking about it. It's always like, you know what's scary? You know what's really scary is not the I mean, yeah, viruses that like instantly delete you, like they just hit the backspace on your life, like that's absolutely scary too. But like it's like viruses that are like COVID, that are like, you know, like just we're gonna give you a little cough, a little this, a little that, you know what I mean, that target, but they're deadly for like vulnerable populations. But it perpetuates this thing. Like I could see how it can spread, right? Like how much misinformation came out of COVID, right? Like just because, oh, it's just a cough.
You think people are gonna have Ebola parties where they just
Yeah.
call their kids
All right,
together?
listen, if you're throwing an Ebola party, yeah, you deserve Ebola. I'm just ivermectin.
It's not that bad.
They need ivermectin. That'll help people. Or what did Trump say? What did Trump say? Oh, inject some light into me and like wipe it out in minutes. He said that. He went on national television and said, inject some light into me.
I remember there was bleach at one point.
Yes, bleach too. Bleach too.
Injecting bleach potentially.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
All right. Let's know what's in this goddamn
We're
bill,
exposing
sir.
it. And that's why you're seeing a backlash out of
Reckon you were supposed to read with us and you're not.
Any
That's just,
Democrat, given what you just pointed out,
she can hop on
are
for
any
part
Democrats saying, yeah, that stuff is wasteful, that's abuse of taxpayers? Are any Democrats admitting that what Doge is finding is bad, it's keeping people's taxes high? Is anybody agreeing with Republicans and Doge? Because we're hearing...
What I love about Fox News, though, is
the
they'll
dancing
like
clips.
they just, I mean, they do this all the time. They keep like, if they get like one piece of cringy like video from a Democrat, they're just gonna play it in the background. They could be playing something so like talking about something completely irrelevant, but it's just like, let's just keep this going. They did that with the Choose Your Fighter video. They've had that thing playing for like 30
You know, and you know what's beautiful too is like, and it's like brainwashing tactics too. It's like, have you ever seen the movie Clockwork Orange?
No.
A great movie, Stanley Kubrick.
I tried to read that book in high
Excellent.
School, but didn't
watch the movie. It's just as good. It's just as good. It's the same effect. It's the same effect they're going for. So in the movie, they catch the guy and they brainwash him. They literally like they really do. Oh my god. Hold on. Oh, okay, it didn't. Yeah, it's a great movie, right? So they catch the guy and they psychologically like hypnotize that guy, and brainwash him. So every time he hears a song, he just gets into like pain, like instant pain.
Okay.
But the way they do it is they like hold his eyes open and they just flash a bunch of images. You know what I mean? Like they just run a movie for like hours and hours and hours, and he just like, and then they're playing music behind it. This is what Fox News is doing.
We're getting brainwashed.
This is
and
right.
Thinking that they're cringy.
No. Listen. Like just go even like 2 minutes or like right before this dancing clip. It's migrants running in. It's like Images of migrants
true.
like crossing. Democrat cringy video. Migrants crossing.
Yep.
Democratic cringy video. So it's like the association just keeps getting built
Well,
over and
sure,
over and
then
over
you're
and
not
over
gonna
again.
Trust that person to, protect you, especially when in 2 seconds they're gonna say like, "Oh, and remember, the crime is through the roof. You can't even step foot in a city without getting like."
And it's
books,
associated with
whatever.
Democrats all the time, just like that.
Yeah.
And then look at this. And this guy's gonna sit there and talk about like, oh, it's such a serious thing. We're finding all this fraud, all this thing. Like, we're working here, we're doing all this, and then they're
And
showing
he looks
Jasmine
like a Civil War
Crockett,
general.
and Jasmine Crockett is dancing. So it just
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, these Democrats, they're not doing anything. They're just in fucking office, just dancing everywhere. They're not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's the constants and the association building. Fox News has rotted this country.
They have. I mean,
They have.
We just saw it. They flat out just put out
Lie.
complete misinformation, like full on lied
it's
about
straight
what
up.
that law says.
Yes.
And
And they go and just say like, no, the Democrats are lying. That's what they do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's insane.
Alrighty,
It's insane.
Let's see.
That Democrats are fighting against Senator Chuck Schumer and fighting against Hakeem Jeffries. They want more attacks against President Trump and Doge. Do they agree that what you just pointed out is wrong?
No, I mean, unfortunately, they're going the other way, and they're trying to lie and obfuscate and mislead the American people. They're
And
saying that
look
we're
at the
taking
title,
money
too.
away from veterans, or that
Not
we're
a
trying to
crime.
It's not.
But like, right?
But right, no, I get what you're saying. Like, they're basically saying that Democrats don't take this seriously,
Or they're encouraging it.
They're supportive of all this, supposed crime that's happening and making things more dangerous.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
definitely. That's,
It's literally like 2 people that are illegal immigrants, or I shouldn't even say illegal because that's not even a fucking word. That's anywhere in the Constitution or in civil laws. These undocumented migrants are committing massive. There's like 2 people.
right.
2
And they're gonna hold
people.
up- well, that's the thing. They're gonna hold up those like 1 or 2 cases or a couple of cases and be like, see, and then like at the same time, which I mean, I've talked about this before. What pisses me off is they're gonna pass the Lincoln Riley bill, and then at the same time say, yeah, people who have done time for domestic violence or have a bunch of domestic violence reports, like they can have guns.
Yeah.
Why would we take their guns?
And you know what
It's
but
like,
like,
what?
you know what the kicker is too? It was the guy that's been accused of sexual harassment and essaying women passed the law.
Right.
He went there and paraded it around. Like,
Exactly.
what fucking timeline goopy world are we living in?
It's like, yeah, I mean, they're using, like, protecting women as, like, just some sort of, like, gotcha that they can pull out when it's convenient and then otherwise just go behind our backs and take away our rights and make things more dangerous.
Right.
So, very fun.
All right, so they're not going to talk about the bill at all.
Right? I'm like, I mean, I guess they mentioned the funding for the border,
Tom
which
Homan.
is probably all
Only-
that they really want to be putting out there.
Yes.
Which makes sense. They don't want to talk about any. I mean, I don't actually know what the extent of any other cuts are on the continuing resolution. I haven't gotten that far.
Nobody's
He's
gotten that
not going
far.
to talk about it. So.
No, he's not going to talk about it. It's going to be the border and how the Democrats are lying.
Alrighty.
That is all it's going to be. Alright.
Actually, like, funny thing about the border, Trump, I think it was today, Trump was, talking about Canada as he does, and he goes, it's just an imaginary line. Like, it could be our best state, it could be our most beautiful state, but somebody went and put an imaginary line there and made them so it's like, what? Like, so borders are just imaginary lines now?
Yeah, he's not wrong. They are imaginary fucking lines.
But when it's convenient.
When it's convenient.
The southern border, though.
Oh, no. We need a wall there.
That's real.
China has a wall. What's wrong with China's wall? It's a beautiful wall.
We should get a wall.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. But Canada? No, come on. It's just trees. It's literally
so
just
beautiful
trees.
there. I mean, he clearly loves Canada.
He does.
It's so,
He wants it.
He was like, "It's so nice there." He's like, probably the most visually beautiful.
I mean, they do have
Yeah.
Banff. Like Banff is like
I wanna go there.
it's amazing.
Have you
Banff
gone?
looks great. No, I've never gone. I want to
Yeah.
go too.
Me
It
too,
looks amazing.
for sure. It does.
All right. So
Should we get-
we want to switch.
Get into the book.
Let's get into the book.
Alrighty, book club time.
Okay, book club time.
You want to give us a summary?
I had to give the summary. Okay. All right.
You're just a bet. I feel like you're better. You're a better like long sentence talker than me. So I'm gonna
A
give it to you.
monologuer.
Yes, a monologuer. There you go. Good.
Yeah, that just means I'm a fucking yapper. That's all you're saying. Like I just fucking
I didn't
like
want
to
to
yap.
use the word yap, and then
Yeah,
I couldn't
yeah.
think of monologue. So.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
nice.
maybe you need to read a lot more books.
Apparently, I do. I thought, the smut's killing my brain cells.
It is. Like, can we chill on that? Like actually go on some.
Read something intellectual.
There you go. Hey, if we're gonna do this, you gotta be reading up. You gotta be up to date.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I read.
I feel like I'm always sending you podcasts to fucking like, and you out here fucking nothing. God damn.
He was
All right.
born in Yapperville on Shut Up Circle.
Wow. Just the fucking rudeness. Hey, you want to play games with me today? You know what? No more frag punk. All right. So far, very interesting book. I kind of immediately took to it. I like it.
Okay.
I like it a lot. So we are introduced to Raskolnikov, Rice. Right, that's how we say his name.
Raskolnikov, I
Yeah,
think.
it's a very Russian name. It's obviously it's in a Russian setting.
Sure.
So we're introduced where he's kind of like in a haze, right? Like that's how the book kind of opens up. Like he goes and he's pawning something to this old woman. But the whole interaction is weird.
Sure. I think it's important to point out that Raskolnikov is he's in poverty
Yes.
because he's a student. He was a law student, but he had to drop out because he couldn't afford it
Right.
anymore. And I think it's also important to add that he lives in St. Petersburg. His mother and sister live. It sounds like out in the country somewhere.
Yes. Yes.
And his father's dead, so I have a feeling that obviously had something to do with this, like, it seems like sudden onset of poverty. He doesn't strike me as the type of, I've been living in poverty my whole life. And I don't see how he would, like, be in this school.
Yeah, I mean, being in that period in Russia, it's very, yeah. I didn't
it's a
really pay attention to
patriarchal
that.
Society, you know, if his, I mean, I'm just kind of extrapolating. I don't think it explicitly said it, but I would imagine
It is very
that,
patriarchal. It is very
you know,
patriarchal.
if you don't have like a male like breadwinner,
Yeah.
how is your, and he's too young to really take up that mantle yet. He doesn't have his
Right.
education to do that.
Right.
It's like, how are you kind of gonna?
And then you get a sense of that, and you really do get a true sense of that when he gets the letter from his mom. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
So but I want to just stay on the interaction with the lady he goes to. He pawns like a silver locket bracelet kind of type thing.
Oh, I think it's a watch.
It's a watch, right? That was his last true possession that he actually had, and he's described as having like very dirty, hasn't showered. His clothes are like very ripped apart. There's like dirt under his nails. He's living in this like very small little closet where a girl comes in and brings him like soup sometimes or tea, but he knows like it's very old tea because it's like very diluted. You know what I mean? Isn't so as you mentioned, like he is in poverty.
I don't want to like stop the summary or like real quick, but he has so much contempt for her, and he's just trying.
And
to
she's
be
trying to
nice.
help.
Like,
Yes, and he's like
like,
always like, get away, go away.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like, all right, starve then. I don't know, like.
And she'll leave the food there and she'll like wait and make sure he's okay and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So but in this interaction, what he's doing is odd. we don't, as a reader, know what he's doing at this. Like, if you're just is somebody reading the book, like, from the his whole interaction seems odd, and he's very like in his mind. He's consumed by something. That's how the writer Dostoevsky wrote him. It's something is gnawing at him. We don't know what. We don't know what is gnawing at him, but something is eating away at him. He can't sleep. He's having a hard time. He's always consumed in his own thought. Like, whenever he's walking in the street, we're not. It's very subtly described that people are walking around him, and like, but we're not given any like context. Like, it's just like it's always like, oh, he's just like moving through the crowd. You know what I mean? It's always like he's moving. Oh, like the people are just walking against him all the time, right? And he's just shifting right through them, like against the grain all the time. It's very subtly done that way. But in this interaction, he's keeping track of the old woman's habits, of what she does. Every single sound is being made. He listens for which key's used, where it's used, and he tries to guess what it is. But you're given nothing more than that. After he leaves that, he gets some money, but then most of his money is gone very, very quickly, because the old lady keeps some of it, right? Because he owes her some money already. And then the next thing he does, he goes to the bar, correct? He goes to the bar, and there's this guy named Marmoladev, who's just like ranting. Like, who? Well, at the beginning he wasn't ranting. He's just like, so Russian Glove goes and sits down. There's a couple other people there, and then he's just looking around. Marmoladev is like looking around at the bar, like trying to gauge everybody that's walking in, and then he like walks up to Rushnikov and he just starts having this insane conversation with him. He's talking about how his little Sonichka,
his whole life story,
entire life story, how the stepmother, how he's taking care of this woman who her husband died, right? And he took her on. He had some kids, and he had a wife who died, and he had his daughter named Sonia something, but he calls her Sonichka. And then that his new wife is very stubborn, but he just drinks and lays there and does nothing else. And how the stepmother would berate his daughter Sonia all the time, and how Sonia is so pretty and all this and that. It just goes on and on and on and on. And how the stepmother forced Sonia into prostitution.
Yeah.
And because she forced it into prostitution, she can't live there with them anymore.
Right, she has to go live in like a house for prostitutes.
Right,
like,
she's not allowed.
A house of lower propriety. Like,
exactly.
Because we're like in the setting of history, you're at a point where oh, this is a fine establishment. My boarding house, we don't have people like you here. And then there's some places that are like, all right, sure, I guess if you can find a corner, sleep in it.
Right.
So it's just these different levels, very like judgmental society. And they also like the Marmeladov's family, they also live in, I thought their living situation was interesting because they are also like renting a corner of a room.
Yes.
They're not renting, like they can't afford to pay the rent on their corner of a room. Like, it's not like a whole house.
Because he just refuses to work, right?
Yeah.
Like, because he got a job.
I'm not trying to laugh at that. I'm just like, it's just like...
You think, wow, poverty's just really funny to you, huh?
This like, description of this poverty is like, damn, like... That's
like, you got it.
That's pretty pervasive. That's bad.
Yeah. But, and then, like, and the funny thing is, like, Marmoladev, like, realizes it, yet he refuses to work, or he gets a job, but then he like, and then he keeps mentioning that his wife got beat up by some guy, right? Like keeps mentioning that. He keeps repeating it, but like we don't. Yeah, we're not giving like. Oh, I think it's because like his wife is very like nobility and like very educated, so she doesn't really stand up to like for the lack of a better word, like bullshit, from anybody. So, and then this guy that they owe money to, right? Um,
Probably.
yeah, and he didn't care, and he just like just beat her, and he couldn't do anything about it, right? And then the wife is mad at him, and anything like that, and he can't get a job. He got a job. They were so happy, like she got standing, and then he lost the job. Now he won't go, so he
Right.
just sits there at the bar and gets drunk. And then
He
he
goes
pawned
on like
off.
a 4-day bender or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like, he
It's
doesn't
insane
come
shit.
back for
Like he
days.
stole the money from the wife and his
Mhm.
and his prostitute daughter, and like just spent it
Yeah.
all pretty much.
Yeah.
And so Rushnikov like listens to the whole story. Everybody's laughing at him, and and then the guy gets so drunk he has to take him to his house where where the funny part was too. Marble Dev's like, I even like it when she beats me. When it's like so great.
Well, 'cause he feels like he deserves it because he's
Yeah,
in like
he
this
feels like
vicious
it.
cycle. Like if we're going to humanize Marmalade a little bit, like yeah, he's terrible and it's really frustrating because this is a very long like rant. Like
Yeah.
Marmalade talks for
A while.
probably like 15 pages.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So you're just like, well, stop being like this. Like change yourself.
Hey, just stop drinking, brother.
So it's
What's
so
going on?
frustrating to listen to.
Yeah.
But he is stuck in this vicious cycle of just like, I drink because I'm sad, and I'm sad, so I drink. And
Yeah.
it's like I could just not drink and not be sad, but I'm gonna be sad and drink.
And drink. Right.
Yeah.
You know what? At the beginning, I thought he was trying to like when the rant starts when Marmeladov walks up to Rushnikov. I thought it was gonna be some sort of scam that he was gonna try to pull off, and Rushnikov was gonna be like, "Hell no, you're a scam." No, but I think Marmeladov just wanted to just talk to somebody and just be heard. I think he was just so sad because everybody that's walking in.
I agree with that. I think
It's just a
burned-
drunkard, like, and then Rushnikov seemed like an educated, so you could tell like that Rushnikov is educated, like he is in like as much as we're shown that something is wrong with Rushnikov, there's something going on in his mind, something is weighing him down. There's this I don't want to say evil because it's not described like that, but there's just something in his mind that's stopping him, right? Like there's a cage in his mind, there's a thought in his mind that's like holding him back. Even all of that, when Marmeladov looks at him, you know that Rushnikov is an educated person. He looks that way. Like he is of sound mind. He has quote unquote standing in the society. You could tell that. Like a stranger can even tell that. I think that's really the point of the interaction there, right? Even though we see this odd behavior from him with the woman, like counting what she's doing, how many steps, what key, what trunk, like what it sounds like, how, like, you know what I mean? He's doing all this, and we have no clue why he's doing all this. And then this continuous like self-berating that he's doing.
Yeah, I think it's a parallel. Like Marmeladov is clearly self-destructive.
Yes.
Raskolnikov is self-destructive. It's
Yes.
just not as.
It's not the
obvious.
similar level, right?
Yeah.
Like
It's the
he's-
same level, I would argue. It's not as obvious in Raskolnikov. Like if you look at him, like it's not as obvious because he's ruining his own life. He's doing the same.
Who, Marmeladov?
Both of them.
Well, yes. I mean, well, but for Rushnikov, there's these circumstances, right? Like he doesn't have the money. He wants to finish school. He was doing the classes to earn some money, but he can't even do those. So now he's pawning stuff, right? It's like circumstances kind of came on him, whereas Marmeladov, it's more of like, well, he had a job, but then something happened and he lost the job. And then he got the job back again, but then he lost it again, right? And now he's just kind of like giving up.
I don't know.
But Rushnikov hasn't.
If we're gonna use Raskolnikov, the only reason that Raskolnikov can't continue to teach classes is because of his clothing and his attire, which I'm not saying it's not a valid excuse.
Yeah.
But his friend manages to do it, so it's like
true.
There is possibly something that he could do, And
yeah.
Marmeladov, like, if we're going to use that excuse for Raskolnikov, then we should use alcoholism as an excuse for Marmeladov. He's not fully in control of his actions.
But I think Rozhenikov hasn't given up yet. Marmeladov has.
Okay.
You wouldn't agree? Like, he hasn't given up. Okay, he hasn't. Okay, I would say, because I want to get to, like, I don't want to jump too far ahead to what I'm saying.
Jump into
like,
it, yeah.
Yeah, like Rozhenikov at that point. Like, no, I say Rozhenikov at the point he meets Marmeladov, he hasn't given up yet, but he's not doing anything either, right? Like, he's not doing anything to better his situation, but he hasn't gotten to the point where he's accepted his situation, right?
No,
Whereas Marmeladov is like, this is it.
That's true. He's very much accepted it. I mean, Raskolnikov is not presented to us as someone who will ever accept his situation because he feels like he's too good to be experienced.
Yes. Right. It's
why doesn't this, I guess, society, this greater society, realize that I'm so good looking and I'm so smart?
Exactly. Right. He has this very because there's a mention of the Ubermensch, right? Well, I don't know if that was in the introduction.
Right. Yeah. Because I was gonna say I don't know if that came up in the story, but I think that's what they're explaining in the
right, but that's very much his thing, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's very much shown in the second conversation at the bar. But I guess the part of the story. So after he takes Marmeladov home, we'll get to that point, I guess. After he takes Marmeladov home, he's walking, right? He's thinking, and then he sees the woman that's drunk on the bench, and some guy's approaching her, and he does this. So that's the part, right? Like, so that kind of set me to the like. Oh no, this is after. That happened after the bar, right?
Like, the letter and everything.
Yes. So he takes Marmeladov, and then he goes home. Right, and then what's the girl's name? Lizaveta? No, not Lizaveta. The caretaker that brings him soup. What's her name?
I think it's like Natasha or Natalia.
Yes, Natasha. It's Natasha. It's Natasha. So she brings him a letter. You want to talk about the letter? Go ahead, talk about the letter. Because this is the change, right? Like, this is I think so. Right now, Rozhenikov hasn't given up, right?
Okay.
But he hasn't truly accepted his. But this letter is super important. It charges him. This letter is the catalyst we want to say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Real quick before I get into that, it's an aside, but it stuck out to me that Natasha had to pay the postman for the letter.
Yeah.
Like, on behalf of Raskolnikov. So Raskolnikov now owes her money.
Yes.
And like, at the time that I was reading that, like, it was just in the news that Trump was proposing like getting rid of the postal service. So I was like, is this what they want? Like, they're gonna hold your letters hostage?
You gotta pay the postman directly?
Yeah, literally, she was like, I had to give him like 2 rubles or whatever. Like,
insane shit.
But anyway, the letter is from his mom, and the letter. Basically, she reveals to him something that she's been hiding, that basically, like, she and Raskolnikov's sister have had to, like, basically put themselves, like, also into pretty severe poverty. Like, it's taken, like, almost all of her pension, like, from her,
and she's borrowing
her dead
money.
husband. And she's borrowing money, so she's in debt. To basically, like, to finance him up until the point where he had to, like, leave law school and whatever she's sent for him just to live, like, since.
Yeah, I question there. I don't know. It's not really mentioned in the story either. Does the mother know that he isn't in law school anymore? I don't know if it's ever mentioned.
I don't know. I don't remember if he said that he told her or not. I know they don't speak very often, and it seemed like he had recently. Well,
so she might not know.
She might not.
Okay.
I don't know, but
because the way she's saying, she's like, "I'll send you more money." I'm thinking like that she might still think that he's still in school.
Right. Yeah, well, actually, I do think she thinks that he's still in school because, well, I'll just get to the point. So she also mentions that Raskolnikov's sister is essentially. I'm gonna skip over all like the drama with
Okay.
the old.
Yeah. She got fucking cheating drama. Basically, cheating drama.
Yeah,
But
like her,
found to be
like
innocent.
an old employer, because she was basically a governess, and an old employer's wife like accused her of cheating with her husband, but then really the husband was just in love with her, so that all came out, and then the lady apologized, and so that's
Apologized to the whole town. Like, I love the dramaticness of the letter. It's so, I'm like, okay, old lady, we're doing a little too much here.
Yeah. But so basically the sister's reputation has been restored.
Right.
So some
And it's the governess's nephew, right?
Yeah.
It's
I think
somebody
so.
related
Yes.
to
Yeah, they're
somebody related to the governess.
So yeah, somebody related to her old employer,
Right.
the sister's old employer. He holds essentially what I understood to be like a council seat. So
Yes.
he himself would have to be a lawyer, and he's risen to a relatively high position in
Yes.
society.
Yes.
So I mean, point being that I don't think the mom knows that he quit law school is that she goes on to say, you know, this man proposed to your sister, and she, for the record, hemmed and hawed a lot. Like, it's pretty clear that he's not a great guy. We'll get into it a little more.
Yeah.
But she's like, you know, I think your sister is going to, or your sister has accepted his proposal, and we think this is going to be a good opportunity for you because he's successful and you could work under him after. I don't know if she explicitly said after you finish your studies. But
It's more of like, he'll help you.
There, right?
Yeah,
like,
he'll help you a lot.
He wouldn't be able to go work for a councilman if he doesn't have a law degree.
Right.
Like, So,
right.
So I think it's kind of like, oh, she's, you know, marrying this man and it's going to give you a great leg up in your career. And it's pretty clear that this is the only reason that the sister is marrying him.
She's sacrificing. She's making a sacrifice.
Yeah, she's sacrificing, you know, herself, because it's not that he's really described as abusive. Like, he's not the town Marmeladov. Like, he's just, it sounds like he's
very old fashioned.
A little
if you
cold,
could,
and a little like just unkind, I guess. Like, you know, he's they're traveling to St. Petersburg like to get married, right? And he's like, he's wealthy, he's a well-to-do guy. He knows his soon-to-be wife and her mother, who's a widow, don't have any money, you know, and all he does is say like, oh yeah, I'll pay for your like suitcase or whatever to get there.
Right.
So basically they have to put themselves into even more debt just so that they can go to St. Petersburg so she can get married,
right.
You know, and see Raskolnikov. But it's like, okay, like, if that's not really normal, you know, I'm not saying that's the worst thing in the world a man has ever done, but
but if you have the means,
there's clearly not like love there. Like, yes, if you have the means and you want to marry someone because, you know, it's going to be a great life that you'll share together, you'll probably fork up the $20 so that they can go there. You know?
Right.
20 rubles, sorry. You know?
Yeah.
So he's just not a great guy. She didn't really want to marry him. She obviously doesn't like him, but yes, she's sacrificing to do this so that
for her brother.
Which, I mean, yes, for her brother, but I mean, in this society, I just think patriarchal society, what other choice do these women have? Like, they have, her brother is Raskolnikov is the only person that they can put their faith in.
Right.
You know, they don't, yes, she was a governess. She could barely make it by. Governesses are not well paid. And at a certain point, once you're a spinster, nobody's going to employ you to be a governess anymore. Because they're going to be like, why do you want to hang around my kids? You're, you know, 24 years old. Go get married. Why aren't you married and having your own kids? You know, it starts to be seen as weird after a while.
Exactly.
So like, it's a means to an end.
Yeah.
And it's not, you know, she can maybe be a governess again back when she's old and widowed, but there's a long period in between where that's not really possible.
Right.
So I mean, that's the gist of the letter. And Raskolnikov reads this letter,
and you see this drastic emotional change, right? Like you see,
so
like
mad.
it's literally written that he goes from crying with tears of joy from receiving his mother's letter to
Sure, 'cause he doesn't
seething
hear from her
anger.
often. Mm-hmm.
And to seething anger, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and this is, he gets to be so angry, he just starts like, he just runs out, right?
He's mad at his mom and sister.
Yeah.
Like, especially at first, he's like,
Yeah.
he's essentially like, what do these bitches think they're doing, sacrificing for me?
Right, right,
Because
right.
he doesn't have the, I mean, it's different worldviews, right? Why would his initial reaction as a man be like, well, what other choice do they have? It's
Right.
like, it kind of goes back to his ego, I think, where he just thinks like, this also wasn't explicitly said, but it's almost like he must just think like, they should just believe in me. They should
Right,
just
it's the
know
idea of
that
the Ubermensch, right? It's
this,
like,
you
it
know, that
feeds that.
any second now, the world's gonna open up to me.
Exactly.
You know?
I-
But
I'm-
they
I'm-
know
I
that
could do
that's
this.
Not real. That's not realistic. That's not gonna happen. They have to, like, sorry, your sister's just trying to make sure that your mom doesn't starve to death. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
and I think it's written in there too. Is like, well, he's like, how could they do this without like? She's just telling me. She's not even asking for my permission. It's just being told to me, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think he says it in the part. But he gets to be so angry. He's like, I'm never gonna allow this to happen.
Yeah.
And then he just runs out of the house, and he's looking. He doesn't even know where he wants to go. You know, but he's like looking for a way. Like he's coming up with these different ideas. Like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. But he kind of like comes up with something and then just like forgets about it like instantly. You know what I mean? Like he's just so mad.
Yeah. Right. He's
Like,
mad.
it goes
and then
nowhere.
It was like a he's way up here and then he just falls because he
Instantly.
realizes he's like, oh yeah, well I guess like, well what else can we do? Like, and then he's
Right.
just like, that's when he goes for the walk and sees the
This
disheveled
woman. Yeah, she's obviously drunk, and I think it's implied that she's been taken advantage of, right?
Mhm.
Like she's obviously been raped, and
I feel like Raskolnikov sees her and has a little bit of I don't know, like, you know that TikToker that is like, he makes fun of like those like anime boys who like pretend they have like anime girlfriends or whatever, and he's just like, madam, are you a damsel in distress? Like, that's what I got from this.
I
Like,
don't
he's
want to
just
know
like,
what goes on in your TikTok, buddy. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
Send you, but it's like, he just like sees this woman and just like, a damsel in distress.
Right,
like,
right,
Like,
and he's just like,
Raskolnikov has very interesting interactions with women. I'll
Yeah.
say.
yeah.
I'm not trying to insinuate he's an incel, but he is a little bit.
It's the vibe.
Vibes.
It's the
Bad
vibe.
vibes.
It's the vibe. Yeah, so he runs to her, and then he sees somebody else trying to come up to her, right? And he and it's very much of like, I'm the hero here. I'm gonna save this guy, and he knows the guy, right?
Did he? I didn't.
And
I didn't
he
pick up on
addresses
that,
him. I think he addresses him as the guy's name, and then he calls the cop over. And then he's like, "Oh, look at this guy! Look at like I saved this girl. Look at this guy!" And then he gives her like, and he gives the cop some money. And then he,
Another
like-
thing, like, is this what we want? Is this the world that we want? Like, here's $20. Can you help? Can you help me? Like, okay.
but but hey, that's what the hey social
I know it's
programs,
like
okay?
that.
Social programs that we're against socialism. Anyways, so but you know, it's like as soon as he hands the cop money, there's the very like quick change that happens to. It's like, oh wait, you know what? It's alright, just let her go. Let the other guy have her. It'll be, you know, let him have some fun.
Right,
You know, why
he-
not? You know.
He gets himself all in like a huff, like very, like frequently. Like everything that happens to him, he just doesn't know how to deal with it. He's just like, ugh, whatever, forget it. I don't
Right.
care anyway. Like,
Right.
You know,
Right.
he gets very worked up at first and then just like, whatever. Like, okay.
Like, and he talks about like, oh, but the girl's gonna go home, get beat by their mother, and like all this, blah 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 blah. Like, there's a whole thing that happens.
He's very observant of the world around him. Like
There he is.
he's not like out there living in like ignorance. Like I'm
No.
not saying he's not stupid. He's just like extremely ego driven to a point where it's very detrimental.
But
to
it's
him.
it's and I like how I like how Dostoevsky kind of does this, right? Like, he is very observant. He knows exactly what's around him, but it's written in a way where it's like the opposite isn't true, because he's like above, right? Like, he's like it's like when I said when I was talking about earlier, like when
It's
he's
an
walking
interesting
through the crowd,
observation. Yeah.
it's more of like the crowd is opening up around him, right? As he's walking down the street, like the crowd is just like parting way and he's moving through it, right? Like,
Yeah.
he is somehow different. Like, he's against the grain.
mean-
He's always somewhere, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's nice how it's done.
I mean, this isn't written in first person, but we are experiencing everything from Raskolnikov's point of view.
Point of view,
Like,
right.
this is like this is his interpretation of things going around him. This is not necessarily the gospel truth of what is happening in his world.
Right. It's
So-
very much how Raskolnikov sees the world. It's not how the world actually is.
Yeah.
Right.
He's an unreliable narrator for sure.
Very much. But in everything. Again, I'm jumping forward a little, but so I won't go there. But right. So once he's done with this interaction with the cop, he's walking back, and he kind of loses track of like the whole anger thing that was going on, right? Like, he forgets all about it. But now, as he's walking back, it comes back a little. He's looking for ways to do this, and this is where he gets the opportunity, right? Go ahead, tell him what the opportunity is.
Well, are we skipping him passing out in the bush and having that dream?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's that weird little dream he has. Yes. Go ahead. No, go with the dream. I forgot about the dream. I forgot about it. Yeah.
Okay, so he leaves that interaction.
And he's drunk. He's drunk, right?
Yeah, he had at some point on his walk, he had acquired some vodka.
Yes.
And he doesn't drink vodka. Like go back in time to the bar with Marmeladov. He had a beer. Like, it was like explicitly said, like, he had ordered one beer. That's it. So he got
Because he was feeling like racy, right? His thoughts were racing. He was feeling like he was gonna pass out.
So he gets this vodka, and he's walking, goes straight to his head. He passes out in a bush and has this crazy dream, which it took me a little bit to realize it was a dream. I was like, what is happening? Like,
Yeah,
so
it switches up instantly. Yeah.
Suddenly we're in a dream. We're not in real life anymore.
When you get to the end, like when he's waking up out of the bush, he's like, oh, he was just passed out drunk. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm like, are we going back in time? What are we?
Yeah,
what are
what's
we doing?
happening? Yeah, you don't know.
So the dream is that he's walking with his dad.
Yup.
And then
Crazy dream. Insane dream.
His dead dad. After he had visited the graves of his grandmother and his younger brother who had died in childhood.
Yeah.
So.
Who he doesn't even remember.
Right. So they had left that like gathering, because it sounds like it was just like a gathering of some family members. Again, this is all a dream, so it doesn't really matter. But leaves that gathering with his dad. They're walking down the street. I don't remember where they were going, but there's a lot of rowdiness on the street. On this road.
He's scared of it.
Bars, rowdy people, very drunk people, all of that going on. And he's just observing the people, and then he sees this one group of people around a horse, right?
Yes.
So they, the owner of the horse essentially starts beating the horse, and then the crowd is kind of like, most of the people in the crowd are cheering the guy on.
But why does he why does he beat the horse? What's he trying to get the horse to do?
To move, right? Just to move faster.
I think he's trying to just get it to jump.
Was it?
I think
I
I think
remember
the
the
word
exact
they use is
details.
like, oh, I want him to giddy up. I think like that's the word they keep using. Like I want him to
Yeah,
like,
so they wanted her to like go quick, run. I
yeah,
think.
okay,
I think anyway. So she wasn't moving fast enough for his liking. He's drunk. He's angry. So he's beating this horse worse and worse. Whenever anybody like says, "Oh, I think you're doing a little too much there," he gets really pissed off, and this is the owner of the horse. And he says, you know, this is my horse, it's my property, I get to do with whatever I want
right.
with her. And then he eventually ends up beating the horse to death. At one point before the horse dies, in the dream, Raskolnikov runs over and like tries to shield the horse or something, like tries to stop him, but in the end the horse is beaten to death. And then he wakes up shortly after that, right?
Yes, he wakes up right after that. Yep.
Pretty much he wakes up and now suddenly we're in we're in the dark place. Like
What do you think this
everything
dream
gets dark from
means?
here. I just think it just signifies like a switch. I don't know if it signifies a switch for Raskolnikov into like violence, or if it's just there to let us know like this dude's been thinking about violence this whole time. Like I didn't tell you, but he's just like his thoughts are violent now.
I think to me it was again, I think it was about this idea, right? Now does the I can't remember again. Is the bar scene with the two students happen before this or after this? Right? It's before this.
I thought it was after.
But where did you get the vodka?
That's a good question. Maybe
Because I think he goes back into the bar, grabs the vodka, and he listens to that conversation, and then as he's walking out, and he passes out in the bush in the nice part of the town, right? I think that's how it happens.
I swore the dream was before we heard that conversation, because I don't remember knowing that he was thinking about murder before the dream.
No, but we never know he's thinking about murdering. It's just a conversation he hears.
I remember. I mean, we'll have to double check, but I remember it being like he has this. All this stuff happens up until the dream, and then I swear he's like.
No, but he hears the rumors about Lizaveta.
Right.
That's when we
I
know.
thought that was after, but.
It is after the dream. It is after the dream.
Okay.
That is after the dream. But I'm talking about the conversation he hears between the soldier and the councilman, where they're talking about the old woman, and he goes, "Oh, what? They're talking about the old woman, the same as me? Was this after that he gets drunk and passes out?"
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay, I might be thinking wrong. You know what? I think you're right. I think it's coming back to me. I think you are right.
Because I just remember the dream having like absolutely no context to it.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
After we're hearing like we meet Lizaveta, and then he goes and he overhears that conversation between the cop and the student.
I think you're right. I think he's reminiscing about the conversation too. I don't think he actually hears it.
Yeah.
I think it's a reminiscence.
That's true. That's when we are finding out he had this conversation.
He had the conversation, yes.
He overheard that conversation.
He overhears the conversation.
An unknown time ago.
In an unknown time ago. Right. This is before he even... Yes. That's how it goes. Because he didn't even know about the lady. Because somebody else had mentioned the lady to him. And then he goes to the bar, and then the two people are talking about the lady then. And how Lizaveta has been abused. Right. No, okay. Yes, that's exactly how it goes. No, but I think the dream to me, again, I think he's kind of coming to a conclusion in his own mind. It's not, at least to me, that's how I see it. I see it as in like he starts in real life. In the dream, obviously, he's very much against the horse owner. You know, hey, what the horse owner is doing is a bad thing, right? But in real life, he becomes the horse owner, right? He's like, okay, well, the horse owner's whole identity is like, it's my horse, I can do whatever I want with it, right? It's very much of that Ubermensch Some people make the rules, some people have the power, and then they use it to do whatever he wants, right?
Yeah.
So with the letter kind of triggered that anger in him that he has to do something, right? And he doesn't know what to do. So that dream about him dreaming about that horse, it's more about like, we know he's having these thoughts. We know something is gripping him. So it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy for him. It's like, well, I am stronger, I am better, I am more. So I just kind of have to do what I have to do for my benefit, right? It's in my power to do it. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, that was him deciding that he is capable of committing the violence that it would take to bring about this.
Right.
That he
So
wants.
I think that was the point of the dream to me. Like he is becoming the horse owner. Even though when people are trying to stop him, when there's all these reasons, like the people trying to stop the horse owner, those are like the reasons within Rushnikov's own mind, right? Like those are the things like, hey, no, this is a bad idea. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do this. But the horse owner ignores everybody trying to plead with him to stop the horse, right? And then the part of the child in the dream is Rushnikov's the other side, right? Like, no, you can't do this. So
the small, like innocent part of him, that's
innocent part of this,
kind of has to kill.
Yeah. He's doing that through that dream. He's the horse owner, and he's using that power to do it. And he kind of
sorry, you could see that as obviously it's not so overt as to be like he's literally like killing his younger self or the more innocent part of himself, but the innocence in him dies in that moment after witnessing that. Yes.
And then you kind of and then once he wakes up and he's walking, he hears the conversation from Lizaveta herself. Right? How Lizaveta is going to be away for a couple of hours away from the old lady. So now Lizaveta is the step sister of the old lady he went to go see first, who gives him money when he pawns her things, right? So once he hears that conversation, everything kind of clicks for him. And then we have this conversation about how the old lady's so mean that it would just be bad. We don't even know if that conversation is real. I think it's real.
I thought so.
It's not made up. I think it's pretty much real. But again, we don't know with him, right? But I'm pretty sure it's real that he had a conversation, or he overheard the conversation. That the old lady's very mean. She abuses Lizaveta. She doesn't pay him. She doesn't do anything. And these two people that are having this conversation, they're talking to each other whether, if you could kill one person, it's the conundrum, right? It's like the philosophical question. If you could kill one bad person to save 100, would you do it? Isn't that a good equation there, right?
Whole conundrum, yeah.
Yeah. And then one of the people asks the guy telling the story, he's like, well, would you do it? And the guy goes like, no, I wouldn't do it. Right. So now when Rushnikov hears this rumor, or this not a rumor, hears this thing that Lizaveta will be away from the whole thing, he wonders if he should do it, if he's meant to do this, right? Like the cards
are like aligned
for him,
right?
and he thinks like right when we were talking about like the world should open up for him. This is in his mind.
He's perceiving it as it is, yeah.
Right.
Unreliable narrator. He's looking at all this, which most people would be like coincidence. He's looking at this as like, God is telling me I should.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like that is that. Like he is like, oh, I am meant to do this. I am. God has chosen me to be the one to do this. Like I am like allowed to do this, right? Like, oh, this is the right way, and nothing will happen because nobody will know, right? So he plans. So what's step one of his plan?
So he's gonna steal the axe from his landlady's kitchen.
Why is he gonna steal the axe instead of a knife?
It was just because it was easy. It would be easy for him to take and then replace, right? Like it's not. I don't remember his exact reasoning.
I think that was part of his reason. I think it would. I think it's easier to steal, and it's easy accessible and easy to replace.
I think he said like she would be more likely to go for like a knife more often or something like that. Like you only need an axe every now and again in the kitchen, right? Like,
right.
I never need an axe.
Right. I think one of his things is like I think the force. I think he's thinking about. I think it's better with an axe, like what he's trying to do. So he goes home. He fashions his coat. He rips up his bed sheet, right, to build like a makeshift hatch in his coat. So people don't. Well, you're not gonna be just walking around with an axe now, are you?
And then somebody gets killed, you know.
Yeah. So exactly, and I think this thinking very much shows he is of sound mind. Like you can't.
Yeah, he's not crazy.
He's not crazy.
To really plan
right.
this. I mean,
it's very planned out.
He also problem solves.
Yes, we're gonna get to that. Okay. So he builds a little hatch thing in his coat where he can put it, and the handle can go in his arm, so it won't even swing. You know, he plans all this out, and then he waits, and then he goes downstairs, and he's looking for the axe. The axe is not there. What does he do?
That at first he was gonna give it all up, right? Because that's what he does. So he goes, well, forget it, basically.
It was meant to be.
What does he do? Does he like walk outside and see the guy that takes care of like the horses and stuff, right?
Yeah.
He like the groundskeeper or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
Looks over, lo and behold, there's an axe.
And his door is open. The guy's door is open.
Not there, and he's not there.
And he's not there. So and the axe is, and you can see it, but it's it's feeding into him thing, right? Like it's feeding into his whole narrative. Like I am, like if there's a problem and the problems, he's like I'm not even doing anything. It's just solving themselves, like right. Yeah. And he sees the axe under a pile of wood, right?
But couldn't you also take the first axe not being there as a sign that maybe you should give up?
You could, and then but it's like it's a hurdle. It's one of those like part of his dream. It's one of those people telling him not to do this, right?
To persevere.
It's well, no, it's that. It's the whole thing. Like it's somebody's, if somebody is telling him not to do it, no, it's reinforcement, right? If somebody somebody created doubt, but then the doubt immediately got remedied and replaced by a reinforcement. It reinforces the whole idea, like, oh no, nothing can stop me now.
That's actually a thought I had while I was reading it. I was like, it's crazy how like so immediate that like resolution was. It's
right.
Like, oh, there was a problem for like a second and a half, and it just makes me wonder. I wonder, like, you know, in real life, quote, like, how long that actually was. Like, is he just telling us it was like right away, or again, are we just in a fantasy world?
I don't think we'll never know. I think we're only gonna see. Yeah. I think we have to feed into his mentality here that he's
the only information we have. So
right.
But yeah, it was like kind of shockingly fast, but it does justify like his ego, his idea that it's the Ubermensch.
It's feeding that. Every situation that he goes through is feeding that, right? Until he gets to a point where it's not. So he gets he gets the thing, and then we forgot one major important thing. He has nothing to trade. He has nothing to pawn. So what does he do? He finds something, right? Like a metal something heavy, and he builds this contraption, and then he wraps it in a knot that's hard to detangle.
Okay.
Right?
I probably forgot that part.
Yeah. Because he has to give the old lady something.
Yeah, he has to have a reason to
go see the old lady. And so he builds this little thing because he had already told the old lady in the first meeting that you meet her, I have something else to show you. All right. So now we kind of get to this point. So he's been planning this for a while.
Long before we were queued up to it.
Right. So this is the very thought that's in his mind, but and then you that's been gnawing at his mind, that's been weighing him down, that's the thing that's been like eating at him this entire time, that's been distracting him, that's been haunting him, almost, you know. But when he hears Liz Vita's not going to be there and these plans are going to be, this is going to be the best opportunity, he says it himself, like, oh, there's this enormous weight that's been lifted off of him. Right? There's this almost, when he's describing it, when he's talking it, there's this chipperness to him. There's this sunshine to his day. Everything is clear to him. What he has to do, how he has to do it, everything is planned out. Again, it's the reinforcement of like that he's meant to do this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
divine intervention.
you're right. So, and he feels good about it too. He feels like he's a new person. So he builds this contraption, gets the act, puts it in his handle, and he goes and sees the old lady.
And
But he's very
he doesn't
careful.
really encounter anyone. on his
Anyone.
way there.
There's no obstacle in his way. Right?
Yeah.
Normally he would have to, the entire, the third floor is empty, and the second floor is empty because there's painters working there, but they're loud
Right.
and all that stuff. Like, there's
Right.
nobody. And there's nobody to stop him at the gate of the lady's building. He, like, casually walks by, he goes up the stairs, and he knocks at the old lady's door. This is where he starts to act a little bit different. He can't control himself, right? Like the excitement and the fear and the rush is kind of getting to him. His interaction with the old lady, he rings once, she doesn't open. He waits. He doesn't want to act out of character than he normally does with her, but he can't control it, can't help it. So he does it again. So then he starts to
Right,
hear
he's,
her
like,
coming.
overly excited.
Yeah. So he starts to hear her come to the door. She's looking at him all suspiciously because it's dark in the hallway. She can't really see who it is. She doesn't really recognize who he is, right?
Yeah, I mean, she's suspicious.
She's always
Okay.
suspicious, though.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, she was suspicious of him at that first meeting. Like, I think he said, like, looked at him with, like, beady eyes or something like that.
Right.
I remember the exact
Right.
phrasing.
But she mentioned that he's acting different, right? But he kind of forces himself in the room.
Yeah, she, like, opens it just a little bit.
But he puts his foot there to, like, stop it. Like, stop her from closing it just so she doesn't close it. So, but she lets him in, and then they're talking, and he hands her the thing, right? He hands her the little thing he's come to train, but she has a hard time seeing it and seeing what it is. So she goes to the window, right? And she's trying to, like, finagle with it, but she can't. So she goes into her other room. Oh, no, she doesn't go to the other room yet. She never goes to the other room. He goes to the other room. But she's at the window, she's turned around, and she's trying to open it, and whack, he hits her in the
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And it's described, again, in very excitement. He's very, like, excited about it. There's no
Yeah,
fear
he's,
in
like,
him.
frenzied.
Yeah, he's very frenzied. He's in this rage mode, and he continues to do it, right? And then he grabs the keys and runs to the other room, and he's trying to, like, go through all the drawers and trying to find it, like, find which key to do, because he's so crazed right now.
Right, he's just trying to get...
He's trying to get to the
thing
money.
back, you know,
Right.
the money, all of that.
Right. But he keeps doing the wrong. He keeps using the wrong keys, and then a thought immediately occurs to him: is she really dead?
Right, after he had hit her with an axe in the head.
Right. So he runs back to check, but now he has, like, blood all over him. Right. He gets blood all over him. So she's dead completely. So he goes back, and he kind of controls himself a little bit during this period, and then he opens. Then he realizes the key that he's supposed to use.
Doesn't he kind of, like, chastise himself a little bit for not paying more attention to which key it was or something like that? Like,
It does a little, but then he realizes what key it was. Right,
I
like,
think that's one of the first. I mean, obviously, like, his frenzy in actually doing the murder is kind of that first, like, breakdown of his, like, you know, his mentality. But, like, but this is just, like, really solidifies, like, where he's starting to panic, like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have done this, because things aren't going right for me.
Exactly. It's just happened, and something's gone wrong because he can't get to the lock where he's supposed to, and he's questioning. his the image, the statue of him being this great figure starts to crumble a little. He's like, oh no, maybe I don't know what I'm doing, right? But it's quickly replaced because he does find the key, right? And he grab I can't remember. Does he grab the money?
I thought he wasn't able to get in there. I thought he found money or something valuable in one of her coats under her bed.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I was up that part. I was reading up very late.
He gives up on that. He's like, okay, this obviously isn't gonna work, and he starts like looking around the other parts of the house. And I want to say it's like it was a nice coat under her bed, and she was hiding something.
Yeah. Something red, right? Like he talks, yeah.
Like that.
And then he's like wiping his hand on it, and you can't tell because the blood red.
Yes,
Yeah. And then he hears something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes outside, and he sees, who does he see?
Poor Elizabetta.
Poor Elizabetta. She's back. She didn't go away, and she's frozen in fear.
Because what did he forget to do?
He forgot to lock the door.
He forgot. I don't think he even shut the door.
No, it's completely
he walked
open.
In silently, because like if she had even had to open the door, he could have potentially hurt her.
Right.
But he did all of this door wide.
Door wide open. He does not know. Right. So Lizaveta sees her sister dead on the floor, blood everywhere, and she sees him, right?
Yeah, and she's frozen.
So what does he do?
Poor Elizabeth.
Poor Lizaveta. Poor Lizaveta.
She also gets
killed her too. Right. And this is where things go wrong for him. This whole image
was not supposed to happen.
This was not supposed to happen. This was not in the plan at all. It was all okay if one bad lady was dying in his mind, but Lizaveta
completely unjustified.
But Lizaveta is the picture of goodness.
Yeah, I mean, she's described as being like mentally disabled. Like she's always we skipped over like she also has a little like not pawning business, but like trading or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but she's known for always having fair prices.
Yes.
And like doing things like way above board.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And being extremely mistreated.
Yeah. So this is like completely the opposite of the person that he felt justified in killing.
Right. So Lizaveta's dead too. Now he locks the door.
You're not a god, Raskolnikov. You don't get to decide who lives and who dies.
Exactly. But now he locks the door.
Yeah.
Or not even locks the door. I think he just shuts it. I don't think he even locks it.
He does.
He just shuts it, I think.
He shuts it. What do they say? So when the two guys come...
Oh, no,
he latches it, but he doesn't
doesn't lock it.
So they can tell that it's latched from the inside, so somebody's in there.
Right. So somebody...
Sorry.
As Lizaveta dies, he closes his door and latches it, but he doesn't turn the lock, so it's not locked. And he hears somebody coming up the stairs. And he's panicking. He's sitting behind the door. I think he's sitting or standing behind the door. I think he's sitting.
Yeah, but he's like right there.
He's holding back the door. And the guy starts knocking on it, and he's calling for the old lady, but nobody's answering, obviously. And he's knocked a couple times, and then another guy comes in, and they're both sitting there talking, and then they think like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna leave. And then one of the guys is training to be a detective.
Oops.
Right. So one of the guys is training to be a detective, and then he goes, wait, we can turn the handle, but the latch is locked. So that means somebody is in there.
Yeah.
Right? So he
Only
tells...
way to be able to do that is from the inside.
Exactly. So the detective is like, wait, I'm going to run downstairs, get more people. Something is wrong. You wait here. The guy runs down, but the guy that's waiting there gets impatient, and he leaves too.
Yeah.
Rushnikov takes this opportunity, and he runs out.
Right.
Right? And by being very careful and quiet, he is somehow able to get away from the building.
Right. Yeah. He basically like is popping kind of like he popped into that
The room that's being
apartment that
painted.
the painters were in because those guys had called the painters out as people, backup for figuring out whatever was going on in there.
Right.
So he hopped in there when they were going into the apartment, the old woman's apartment, and then basically slipped out from there. So he got extremely lucky.
Very, very lucky. I think that's where
And
the
at
part
one
ends.
point, he was able to like wipe himself off a little bit. Like
Yes.
he wasn't like covered in blood or anything.
No, he was able to clean himself, so he's not walking out in the street covered in blood.
Yeah.
I think that's where the part 1 ends.
Yeah. That's it.
I really like it.
I like it. It's definitely interesting. What do you think? So, part 1 was mostly obviously the murder happened, like the big like kind of apex there. What do you think? I guess we're mostly all of this was like we were introduced to Raskolnikov. We're getting inside his head, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, yes, to an extent, he is described. As we've said, he's our narrator essentially, right? So we're seeing things through his lens. We're seeing, the above it allness.
Yeah.
But I also think, like, do you think that is how Dostoevsky is trying to portray him? Or do you think, like, there's a lot of other signs that Dostoevsky is actually making it clear that this is an extremely normal person?
So are you saying, like, whether it's Dostoevsky, the author...
I know,
it's hard, Dostoevsky.
During that TikTok today, I was like, I was gonna say the full name, but I was just like, no, just
Fedor?
the last one.
Fedor
Dostoevsky.
Yeah, Dostoevsky. The names are hard. I ain't gonna lie to you. D-Dog.
We can't even remember like half of them. I don't remember the sister's name. I don't remember. Yeah, I guess I'm just asking, like, what do you think his intention is? Like, what is he trying to get across to us about this man? Are we supposed to believe that he is
I think to us, me personally, I don't
believe what we're being told, I guess.
Yes, to a certain point, I think what we're supposed, like, okay, maybe I'm thinking about this the wrong way, but this is how I'm thinking it. I think what Dostoevsky wants to say is he wants us to realize that this is not a normal person. Like, or maybe this is a normal person that's his thinking is warped.
Mm-hmm.
In a certain way, for certain reason. We don't get the reason why his thinking is warped. Whether it's because of poverty or whether it's his father's death, we don't know why he's the way he is. We just because we're introduced to him as doing this weird thing with the lady, right? Where he's counting what she's doing. Like, that's the first interaction we get of him,
Mm-hmm.
right? So from the very beginning, we know there's something wrong with him. There's something he himself describes it in many different times. He describes himself being like, oh, okay. No, I'm consumed by something, right? He's getting constantly consumed by something.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we don't know if that's how he is, or that's something he's turned into, right? I would think that because we know he was in law school, he was fairly normal, and that getting out of, or being kicked out of law school for whatever reason has caused him to turn into this. To the person we know, this undue distress on him, and his it's almost his refusal to believe that he's in this situation because of poverty. He refuses to believe that he's in this situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you see this interaction with other people, like with the ladies that's trying to help him by bringing him tea and soup. Like, he treats her like this third-class citizen, but while he's even lower than her because he doesn't even work.
Right, it's like she can afford to buy your mail. You can't even get.
You can't even do that, right? So it's very much his refusal to recognize his situation. Now I don't know if that's because I've just taken him on his word that he is that's just where we are. I didn't really give it too much thought into like how he got there. I'm just assuming, like, I just kind of assumed like that's where the author is giving us. That's why I think. Okay, so that's why I think, to your question, is like the author wants us to just understand the situation he's in, not how he got there. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Okay. I just think, I feel like he actually is presenting Raskolnikov to us as just like a very like average to the point where he's like below. He's a below average person. Like,
Oh yeah. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Like, we're like, there's no believing that this man is like. And I know this isn't what you're saying, but like, it's like completely like he's deluded from the jump. Like, you're not an Ubermensch.
He's
like,
Charlie Kirk.
For you to think that,
you know,
is crazy.
He's Charlie Kirk. He's Charlie Kirk, or Andrew Tate, right? Like, it's one of these like tough guys. Like, did you see that?
Yeah, if I were to place Raskolnikov in today's world, I wouldn't even give him a Charlie Kirk, Andrew Tate credit, because those are people who are doing terrible things, but they're doing something. Raskolnikov is that 45, 50-year-old man who I was too good to go to college. I was too smart. He lives in his mom's basement forever. No, no ambitions to do anything with himself.
Okay.
This is just how I picture him.
I'm gonna show you something. And this is who Raskolnikov is for me. Okay.
Okay.
Just tell me.
Right on time. Say it again.
This is who Raskolnikov is to me.
I don't think he's that guy. I think he's one of those guys sitting in the
audience. Have you seen this?
I don't know if I could even give him that much credit, because at least these guys are very misguided, but they're at least trying to do something. Raskolnikov won't even go to his own friend and say, "Hey, can you help me with a couple classes? Like, help me like get a few jobs." Like,
have you seen this? You know exactly what I'm talking about then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't seen the whole thing, just like a small clip.
Okay.
But like, he doesn't even have the motivation to talk to his own friend. Like,
yeah. No, when I'm saying this, what I mean is like Raskolnikov is this guy that is a complete fucking loser.
Right.
But in his mind, he thinks he's that guy. Like the guy leading the thing, right?
That's probably the most normal thing in the world. Like, all those people like that or like that in that video, they think that like about
they're the best.
That they're too good for this society. When it's like, okay, if you're too good for this society, you should be owning this society,
right?
Not failing to thrive in this society.
Right. Right. What is that called? Is that an incel?
Partially, but I think it goes beyond that. Like, and I think he fits that too, because he does have such like animosity towards women. Like, he didn't have. I mean, I know we haven't seen him and Sonia interact yet.
Yeah.
But he hasn't had a single positive interaction with a woman, and he
right.
has interacted with like 6 of them. So it's like,
right.
Like,
no, but that's who I see.
If you can only like empathize with like 1 out of 6 women, like, like, that's pretty bad. Those are bad odds.
Right. But that's who I'm seeing. Like, I see this guy who thinks like he should be like, people should be kissing the ground he's walking on, right? But
right.
But he can't even handle even a minor thing.
Exactly. We're just being shown that he has no ambition. He can't handle adversity. He's just, and I mean, I'm not saying that this has nothing to do with his poverty, or if it's just like, I'm not necessarily saying it's just some moral failure. I mean, maybe if I went and read it again, I could have more of like an opinion on that part. Because I think that is also, I guess, a part. You could argue like he is having a normal response to his circumstances. It's just the worst kind of normal response, right? Like,
Yes.
also, like, because his friend's response to the same situation is also normal. I don't think it's being, his friend who's teaching the classes or whatever, he's not being presented as like, the build yourself up from the bootstraps I managed to get from the gutter to Yale, like
Yeah.
he's just doing what he has to get by, which is like a normal person thing. So
Yeah.
it's just, we're just being shown two normal reactions to the same thing. And
You
one
think
just
it's his reaction
really
is normal?
sucks.
Like, oh, the refusal
I
to believe his circumstances.
I think it is for white men.
But okay, that's exactly what I mean. Is if the reason I keep saying Charlie Kirk and these people that are actually leading this, if Rushnikov was alive today with the same access
He
to
surely would
internet,
I think he probably would start a podcast. Or at
he
least,
would be
like,
a super red pill guy. Like, I am this
Yeah, for
beast
sure.
man.
Yeah,
He's offering
absolutely.
courses. He's offering courses how to be the best man. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, probably.
That's what I mean.
guess.
That's what I
guess I'll
mean.
give him credit because he doesn't really have any like the resources in his time, like the internet and stuff like that.
Right,
If
right.
he had resources, I'm sure he would use them for evil.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's Ethan Klein.
Because I really can't say he does nothing because he did a murder. So.
But that's all he had to go with, That's all he had. He didn't have the resources to start a fucking red pill content podcast to say like, oh, women votes are. He's not Crawford, you know what I mean? Like, he's not Ben Shapiro. Like, he's going to law school, so that kind of, but like.
Right, he can use on his
Nick
podcast.
Fuentes. He's Nick Fuentes.
I got. This was my LSAT score. Like,
Right, right.
That's why I'm right.
Right, right. Like, he comes in, he says that the United States Act, whatever, the statute 1325 is a crime. Like that, he is saying that.
Yep.
He's saying
bold-faced lies.
Is a crime. That's what he's saying, and he's looking at any woman that's saying otherwise is like, no, you're wrong, because I'm right. 'cause I'm just right.
Yeah.
That's
like, who's that guy who's just like sits there and is like I don't want to see women out in the world. I don't think women should vote. Like he's like
There's so
kind of
many
the
of
worst
them though.
one.
He's so many of them though. There's
I
that
know,
Crawford
but
kid.
I don't remember his name, but
It's
he
like fucking insane
fully
red pill shit.
doesn't want to like go out in the world and ever have to perceive a woman. Like,
He just never wants to see his mom. Like, okay.
no, I guess you like your wife is the only.
It's
woman
super
you can
fucking. What's that?
ever like lay eyes
What's
on.
that? What's that show called? Handmaid's Tale. Like that's what he wants. Like, women are allowed
Even the
to
handmaids
only
are allowed
breed.
to go outside.
They're only allowed to breed, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like that's But again, I don't think it's normal.
I just think it's like. I guess by normal I mean like he's not special.
No, but is anybody ever?
Well, that's kind of the point, right? Like, nobody's special. And I also like, I think his feelings, like his depression about his situation, is normal, and it's being presented that way.
Okay,
I guess what I just mean, he's not like he's not being presented the way that like we're kind of also being told that he's presented, that he is like, so again, like smart, good looking, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but the way he perceives himself.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know, but my thing is though, right? Is do you think that's just how he was, or is this a certain like his conditions have brought that out of him? Because that leads into the deeper question, right? Is he
Yeah.
fixable? Is this condition of seeing yourself as this type of person fixable, or is that just a mental illness and just hospitalize him?
I mean, I guess back to like the "is that normal" comment. I mean, it's normal enough that it's like an epidemic, here. Like,
Okay.
I mean, so,
Right. So that's
like-
how I see it.
like the men are not okay.
But that's how I see it. I see this as an affliction.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I have to, like, I think just like anything else, like, maybe there's some people who can't, but the vast majority of people like this have to be savable. Salvageable.
Right. You have to think that. But like again, for
Deprogrammed.
Rushnikov, obviously the crux of the point or the apex of the point is the apex of his thinking is murder. Right?
Mhm.
Red pill content that's going on today, I hope it doesn't get to that, but I mean, we've already kind of at that place. Where's that one girl in North Carolina, was it, where she committed that school shooting?
I mean, I think a
That
lot
was super
of,
into Nazism and all this shit. Like, that's
a lot of shooters like have had long documented like history with right-wing, like super right-wing propaganda and incel stuff. I mean, there's been a lot of incel-inspired murders.
Yeah. But I think the reason I point out to her case, I think it was just like very explicitly in the forefront, and
I mean,
two,
Andrew
that she
Tate's
was a woman.
sex trafficker. I mean,
Well, yeah.
So
Yeah. But there's a variety to them, there's a variety to these people. But I just again, I see it as an affliction that needs to, that it's
No,
very
for
hard
sure.
to cure. Because
Well,
how
yeah,
do you
it's
tell somebody
any
that
other
they're
sort of
wrong when they think
brainwashing.
they're right all the time?
Mhm.
Do you know? There needs to be this this evolution, I guess, to a point where something happens in their mind. Their mind evolves to a point where it's like, or that leads them to a point in real life where it's like, oh no, I'm wrong. It's that crumbling, like, that has to happen, right? Because right
Yeah.
now, like the success they're getting, it's the example of Andrew Tate, right? He gets arrested. He still doesn't lose the popularity, and he gets out. Now it's only reinforced to him that he is
Mm.
a superior apex dude, right?
Right.
Similar way to Rushnikov.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
And same way is how you could see it is, Trump comes in, these fuckers get like instant boost in popularity. Joe Biden gets elected, but now this immediate doubt, their popularity now only increases by having Trump back in office, is
Mhm.
just that much more reinforcement that they are the way and they're correct, right?
So we're just seeing a whole generation
Of Rushnikovs.
be Raskolnikov. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Great.
I see it that
I mean,
way.
it's so much scarier on like a societal level than when we're drilling it down to this one guy, right? Because
Right.
like, can you deprogram one guy? Like, sure, people like psychiatrists who specialize in like cults and stuff like that do it all the time. Can we deprogram this whole society to stop thinking this way?
I think Trump is gonna do it. He's gonna literally bankrupt the shit out of everybody, and then we're
And
gonna
that's
go
gonna
back
be
to
the
being
light.
cavemen, and it's gonna be like, oh no, we fucked up. But it's gonna be like,
Will
we're
that
gonna have to
just-
deal with it.
Will that just further will they feel vindicated because now, like, oh, now we're in a primitive society where I get to be like the strong man who just
But they're
pick
not,
up
though.
a woman and throw
But
her
they're
over
not
my
strong
head
men.
and force my way.
You're
I mean,
telling
maybe-
me
I guess
Ben
it becomes-
Shapiro?
No, you're right. I mean, yeah,
Ben Shapiro? Nick Fuentes?
yeah.
Never happening.
I mean, hey,
Never
I
happening.
guess it'll be like a rude awakening when they get like
Yeah, we're gonna have to
punched for
suffer
the
through
first
it.
time.
But hey,
Cool.
all right. I think this is good. I'm good with this. I think we can end it there. I don't think we can't beat it over the head more than we've already pulled a Rushnikov, and the point was the old lady.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes from there. We'll see
Yeah.
if his delusion gets shattered or if he was right. If he gets to decide who lives or dies.
If he gets away with it, right? So we'll get to part 2. We'll read through part 2, and then we'll come back to this. I really like this, and if you guys want to if you've already read it, or if you want to read it to catch up to part, we'll finish part 1. If you want to catch up to us, that would be awesome.
We'll
Have a
post
conversation.
And we're gonna do part 2. I don't know, probably a couple weeks.
Yeah, probably a couple weeks for sure. So that'd be great. It'd be great.
Alrighty, you can
Thank you for joining us, guys. I appreciate it. As always, follow us on Twitch at All the Factors, YouTube All the Factors, TikTok. We've started to post more videos on TikTok at All the Factors. So please do go there, comment, and
you can message us too if you have anything.
Yeah, please.
Especially if you do read part 2. If you want to message us and let us know your thoughts.
Yeah.
We'd like to read them, respond to them, maybe read them live here if
I would be down.
If we get anything super interesting. But
yeah, I'll be super down to do that. But thank you again for joining us.
Alrighty.
All right.
Alright, it should stop soon.
Okay. I'm still gonna keep going.
Alrighty.